Chelsea and United. So United have there's a story that they've agreed a fee for Andrey Santos.
Okay.
Michael has already said, Michael, how are you? Good morning.
Nathan, I'm good.
Yes. So this story kind of caught everybody off guard. We're all minding our business when yesterday afternoon, boom, United and Chelsea have agreed a fee for Andrey Santos. And he's going to have his medical. He's been cleared by Chelsea to go and have his medical. When you read the reports from the 2 points, the Man United part says that fans may not be excited because he's not like a big name, but according to some people, he ticks a lot of boxes that United will need, right? And some people say that had he gone to another team and done well, or had he left Chelsea, gone to another team and done well, and say United wanted him, the fee would have been way higher. But they say he's 22, knows the league, he has a lot of room for employment, and the belief is that he will bring the energy that United's midfield lacked last season. And then on the Chelsea flip side, the story is that there was no way he was going to get consistent game time because of people like Moises Caicedo, Enzo, Lavia.
And it looks like Chelsea still have an eye on beefing up that midfield. That is why they went in for someone like Granit Xhaka, although the deal did not materialize. So it points to
I don't think that story is dead.
No, it might be resurrected at a point in time. I think the player, what I envisage is the player returning from the World Cup and then adding more fuel to the fire that he wants to quit Sunderland. Apparently, he joined them on a free from Bayer Leverkusen. So I think there is a way where player and his reps can meet the club, they can come to a gentleman's agreement, and then whatever fee that Sunderland is demanding will be lowered, and then eventually that move can happen. Because I think looking at how Alonso is pushing for that deal, he will be an integral player to how Alonso plays at Chelsea if he's allowed to join eventually. So that is what I see here. But in the case of Andrey Santos, it represents the stance of the two teams. Chelsea had a player who felt he needed to move out to get more game time. And ever since Santos was recruited from Vasco da Gama, he has not really had enough time to justify that he was worthy of a Chelsea colours. They brought him on board. He was loaned to Strasbourg, and then when he returned and everybody expected him to get a run in terms of some of the games that they will play, it wasn't as expected, and it's actually a development that cost him a chance to be part of Brazil's squad. He was getting call-ups, but along the line, when it got to the crucial moment where Ancelotti needed to sieve through the players that were available, he was one of the players who were sieved out. He wasn't selected due to lack of inconsistent minutes. And for every player who is growing to or developing to that level, you want consistent minutes to gradually hone your talent, sharpen your rough edges, and then prove that you belong. And I think he needed a move outside. Manchester United were also on the lookout for a young midfielder. If you look at the approach in terms of the transfer market, someone like Patrick Dogu, a player who is relatively young but has had enough minutes, so you can speak to experience. And I think Andrey Santos fits in. He's not that signing that will definitely make you go, wow, that's an amazing one. You will be sensational about it. But I think from the technical point of view, he has certain attributes that suit what Manchester United needs. And again, it's like United investing in a team, sending him on loan for like 2 seasons and then bringing him back. This is how the deal looks. And normally, teams like United will pay such an amount, 50 million for a young prospect, then send him out on loan to develop him. So this should be seen as, okay, not just a direct Premier League signing, but United investing in a young player who can play now and still has a higher ceiling in terms of adding to his football skill set to become better. And I think it fits it. It won't be that signing that excites United fans. It won't be that signing that will make fans all of a sudden start saying that they've signed a world beater, and it minimizes the gap between them and then the teams at the top. But it is actually a signing that can do a job. It is not glamorous, but it is technically right, and you would only have to look at how effective or efficient it will be in terms of contributing to Manchester United's cause in the upcoming season. But I don't think they need just one.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't think United needs just one midfielder, because
even if they do get Ederson in through the door, it's 2, but you can tell that 2
still it doesn't look like enough, because last season United were starved of European football. So their only concentration was the domestic competitions, the Premier League, and then the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Unfortunately or fortunately, they went out of these cup competitions at an earlier stage. And so the focus was just the Premier League. And you could clearly tell that United had some deficiencies in the middle. One, in terms of the numbers, and two, in terms of technicians who were required to do a specific job. And a lot of times, United fans cried for certain players to be added to the fold. Now, it is a time where they will compete in the Champions League. They will be competing in the same domestic cup competitions as well as the league. And Casemiro has left. There is a likelihood Mason Mount might also be leaving. So this is a department that needed reinforcement, even when the two players were available. Now, in the event that Casemiro is already certain, he's left.
Yes.
In the event that Mason Mount also joins him, it creates further holes or spaces to be filled.
Yeah.
So I don't think Santos addresses all Manchester United's transfer midfield needs. They still need to add up to the numbers. Ederson will join, like you rightly said, if everything goes smoothly. Then they will need at least one more midfielder. So
you say that. So you think they'll need?
And don't forget, Ugarte is also injured.
Yeah. So
you get it. Yes. And he's also a player who was likely to leave.
Be sold, yes.
So it's like they will lose 3 midfielders, all things being equal.
Yes. And they need to. So which means that they need to bring at least 3
midfielders minimum.
At least 3.
Exactly.
So which means that after this Santos move, if Ederson's move goes through, if or when it goes to, depending, then they'll need one more.
Exactly.
Now, according to some reports, they are still thinking of Carlos Baleba, Alex Scott. So Carlos Baleba of Brighton, Alex Scott of Bournemouth. So these two, some people say that maybe they might go for the 2. Some people say they might need 1. But whatever it is, United will spend a lot of their money on midfield.
I think it is important they do. And maybe the good thing for them is that if they still like Baleba, his stock has plummeted due to his inconsistency in performances last season. So he's not going to be as pricey as it was some 2 transfer windows ago. So I think if they're able to negotiate and then have a fair deal with Brighton, I think he's a player that they would also need. The way the game is moving, you don't really get blockbuster deals. Even for someone like Elliot Anderson to Manchester City, I think it's highly overpriced.
Well, yeah.
Yes, he did a solid job at Nottingham Forest. He did so well. But is he really worth that amount?
Well,
in the grand scheme of affairs, I think
it's a seller's market.
No, yeah, exactly the point. So it is not you paying 100 million tops to sign a midfielder that justifies that, he will come and do a good job. I think that there are still some very good players on the market who might not be valued at such a fee, but they can still do a job. And I think in time, with little confidence and then with some technical tweaking, players like Andrey Santos can develop to become like what Elliot Anderson is. I saw Elliot at Newcastle. I am a die-in-the-wool Newcastle fan before Chelsea. I knew the potential that he wielded. But he wasn't in a position to upstage players like Bruno Guimaraes or Sandro Tonali. So he was sent out to Nottingham Forest. It is getting consistent playing time, getting a manager to make you feel confident about your football abilities. It is what has led him to where he's gotten to. In the same vein, if such a path is carved for someone like Andrey Santos, he can develop to become such a player. He has a higher ceiling, I won't lie. I watched him with so much delight when he went to Strasbourg on loan, and he did so well.
He was really good.
Yeah, he did so well. So
the double figures.
I don't think he's a player who is limited in terms of ability. And then technically too, he looks like a player who, if he's well coached, he can do a solid job. And kudos to them. And Chelsea too did good business. You signed a player for 18 million, and then some 2-3 years later, you are selling him for 50 million tops. I think it is a very good deal, especially for Chelsea at this moment where they need money to invest in the transfer business. They did not qualify for Europe. So it means there will be no revenue coming from there. So you need to maximize your transfer outgoings so that you're able to realize a lot of revenue. Then you can also invest into the transfer market. So it's a win-win situation for both clubs.
All right. 054-257-1061. 054-257-1061. There was a message that came in earlier. Immortal, can we go back to the messages? I want to read that message. It was one of the first reactions we got to the Okay, I think let me go through. No. Immortal Immortal has missed. Immortal has missed the message. I don't know if I should go to the screen to. Okay, go that one. The one from Kaswa, Nathan from Kaswa. Immortal, can you give me that?
It's just the one after Adani Dankwa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Immortal, the one above the Adani Dankwa message.
No,
that one.
This one.
Very good. So this one says, as a Man United fan, I watched Andrey Santos a couple of times playing for Chelsea, and I said to myself that this is a player United could have a look at, because I see him moving on after last season for the lack of game time. Am I surprised United signed him? No. He had a good season at Strasbourg, and I think he'll be a decent squad addition. My only worry was the price tag for a player who was barely used. He cost £50 million. I don't know how Chelsea managed to cash in big on their players. The kind of understanding Chelsea and United have between them in their player transfer dealings is strange. I always knew Carrick wouldn't be the guy to attract the top players. I'm looking forward to the quarters of the World Cup, and he says the pairings are fire. Well, this is what I will say. Mm-hmm. When you listen to people close to United, right? Mm-hmm. You have conversations with reporters close to United. They tell you that the club these days is not excited by big names. No, they would rather use the data to find players, because I always said if teams like Brighton and Co do it, then it means that other clubs can do it for it to work. Because people ask, but where do Brighton get all their players from? Well, it's because they are not obsessed with big names.
Yeah.
And if you do your data scouting well, you can always find a player who fits, who what ticks the boxes,
exactly.
gives you what you need, and won't cost much.
And I think the most important part is the player profiling.
That's the thing.
And that is how I think the other day I spoke about it briefly. It was right before the season ended, that I so much appreciate, and then I am so much satisfied with the transfer approach of Manchester United under the current structure. Mm-hmm. They wanted a right winger who can also play as an inside forward. They looked out for experience in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And the player identified was Brian Mbeumo, because according to the data available to the Manchester United team, they identified that Mbeumo was on a progressive chart. He was moving up in terms of his numbers, and then he's the only player that satisfied the various metrics in terms of right wingers who are available with Premier League experience. And his data made him get closer to where Salah was, not measuring what they had done previously, but in terms of potential. And we've all seen that the moment Mbeumo was slotted into the Manchester United team, he had an instant impact. He transformed United's attacking play. Another one is Matheus Cunha, a player with relative Premier League experience. He was on the rise. Unfortunately, he was in a team that was on a decline. But even in that instance, or that situation, he shone brightest. Then let's pluck him and then slot him into an attack that has looked dysfunctional for some time. And this is a United team that had paid huge amounts of money for players that we will normally tape as A-listers, or potentials from other leagues, who had little or no Premier League experience, and they came and they flopped. One is Rasmus Højlund. So you look at the money that United invested in Mbeumo and then Matheus Cunha, and you compare to the money they spent on Rasmus Højlund alone. It is money well spent, because at the end of the day, the output from the two players far outweighed whatever Rasmus Højlund contributed. Again, the goalkeeping department. How many goalkeepers haven't United signed? They went for a keeper who we thought was at the top of his game, Andrey Onana. They paid good money for him, offered him excellent or juicy wages. Onana came and the issue still persisted. They identified Senne Lammens. He came. He didn't come with that extravagance. Oh, United have signed one of the best goalkeepers in the world. They did not pay that top dollar like they did for Onana. But the moment he was slotted in, he addressed a particular issue in the team. So I think if you're a fan of United, that should give you confidence that looking at how this structure is operating, yes, they won't go for the big names, but they will sign players who address issues. And then eventually, the players will grow on these fans and they'll come to love them. I think if you mention Senne Lammens now, every United fan will be happy. If you mention Mbeumo, Cunha, they will be excited. Yes, they might not have achieved what the likes of Rooney and the others said, they might not have hit that height yet. But on the evidence of what they've started to do, that's the signs towards the future is very positive. So
that the player, for example, assuming one day Man United say they want to sign Erling Haaland, you know what I mean? That is
it's a plug and play.
You know that this guy, he's just coming in
exactly to score goals. But even that could prove dysfunctional.
It could prove dysfunctional
due to the technical structure. So identify what you need and go to the market, find the right profile. Now, the game
if the right profile happens to cost 100 million,
buy it. If it is 20, buy it.
But if the profile makes sense, you have to get what you need. Let me go to some